Hi, good afternoon, morning actually, Valerie Milano, the senior editor of the Hollywood Times and Aspiring Magazine. And I will have our guest introduce herself. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Kelly Yu. I'm the writer director of ENDLING. ENDLING is a short film that is actually shot or told in the style of a fictional documentary. And it follows the man who's in charge of taking care of the last surviving goldfish in the world. So it's set in kind of this alternate version of our future in which goldfish have gone extinct.
Yes, I love it. In my version, the way I want to describe it is a documentary crew interviews the man responsible for taking care of the last surviving goldfish on Earth. Writer director here, Kelly Hughes Endling, is funny, charming, thought provoking, and exhibits her deep fascination with finding humanity and the absurd, as well as exploring complex familial relationships and cultural identity, often through an East meets West lens. Um, so, on the surface, Endling is a cute little story about a goldfish and an old man who cares for it. But there is so much more below the surface. What was your inspiration for this story and the deeper lessons that it teaches the audience?
Yeah, definitely. The inspiration comes from a few different places. The first being this Atlantic article I came across a few years ago, written by journalist Ed Yong. And he was profiling this biologist, a young man named David Sisho, who kind of dropped everything in his life to move to Hawaii to take care of this last surviving tree snail that was endemic to the island of Hawaii. And that's kind of the first time I learned about the term endling, which is the term defining a species that is the last survivor of its species and whose extinction will forever mark the kind of erasure of that species, something that will never return. And I found that incredibly tragic, but beautiful and poetic. And just the idea of kind of where we put our value. How, there have been so many endlings that have come and gone in our history, and some of them have been given more attention and value than certain others. And so that kind of inspired me to think about what if it was goldfish, kind of this mundane species that doesn't really have much of an importance to our ecosystem or to society, aside from being kind of ornamental house pets, and that are actually deemed invasive if they're released into the species. If they became endangered or extinct, would we care? What would some people care more than others? And yeah, that really made me think a lot about kind of purpose and how we place our value in kind of our value is determined by kind of oftentimes our contribution to society, and the work that we do. And so another part of endling came from kind of my personal experience watching a really loved one in my family kind of battle depression, over kind of that societal notion that your worth is determined by your contribution during our brief time on earth. So all that kind of coalesced into a film called Endling.
Nice. And this film has a sterling cast. Dennis Dunn, who plays Richard Chen, the
Mhm.
caretaker, is instantly recognizable from his roles in Big Trouble in Little China and The Last Emperor. And Ava Capri has her own credits and shows, she shows her impressive acting chops in her role as Bat Zinnemann, the researcher. And of course, Pao Pao, the last goldfish in question. Seriously, this is an impressive cast. How did you come to cast these roles?
Definitely. I think a lot of it was finding the role of Richard was really hard. Kind of casting a wide net in terms of kind of older Asian gentlemen out there who were acting and were open to roles like this, and there weren't a lot of them. And so I think it's a lot of credit to our wonderful casting director and casting team. And Alan Luna, who really just compiled a very, very wide database of any Asian actors that fit that demographic and that role. And so, yeah, it wasn't easy, but I think from the moment I saw Dennis's tape, and I was familiar with his work in Big Trouble in Little China, but it had been a long time. And yeah, just from the moment I saw his tape, I just knew that he was Richard. I always knew that I wanted to find an actor who was that character, who kind of had that joy and almost, naive optimism and almost this childlike kind of naivete. And that is Dennis. It's how he as a person goes through life, kind of with this childlike wonder and who is, finds the beauty in the mundane. And so that's just who he is. So for the first time I saw his tape, within the first 30 seconds, I was like, that's Richard Chen. And he's just wonderful. And yeah, Ava is also an amazing, amazing actress. I've been a big fan of hers for a very long time. And also with that, I knew I wanted a very specific look. Someone who, I think there's been a lot of archetypes with kind of the female scientist who maybe, is that nerdy type with big glasses and social, a little bit awkward. And that's someone I wanted to cast kind of almost opposite to that stereotype. And I think Ava is just so cool. Everything she does, she embodies this like coolness and in a way that is so effortless and easy to her. And so yeah, she's amazing. And yeah, Pao Pao the goldfish killed it as well. We were very nervous about her acting chops. We had two goldfish on standby in case, we needed a body double or a stunt double. But yeah, she never needed a double. It's almost like she knew wherever the camera was, she knew to swim over to it. And so she killed it.
Yep, love it. Thank you. But we can't talk about ENDLING without mentioning the cinematography and the music. Can you tell us these very important, there's just they're important aspects of the film. Have you worked with Gus Bendinelli, the cinematographer, and Alex Mansour, who scored the film? Have you worked with them before?
No, so this was the first time working with both of them. Gus and I have a bunch of mutual friends, so I've been seeing his work for a long time, and Alex and I, a lot of friends of mine have worked with him. So he has been a composer that I've been wanting to work with for a long time. So, finding the right project finally, and it's really exciting to really, finally have that project to be able to work with them on. And yeah, I mean, music and cinematography are so integral to this film specifically. I think first with the cinematography, I mean, there's such a distinct visual language that we had to create from the beginning that really motivated everything that comes after it. I think with deciding to go with this kind of fictional documentary look, I always knew I wanted to pay homage to the format. So a lot of that was motivating our camera choices with, okay, if this was a real documentary crew, they wouldn't have three cameras, right? So we're not going to have like standard shot, reverse shot coverage. It's probably going to be like one camera. And then situationally, if this is a real doc, they can't really control a lot of things of like when a character walks in the room. For example, there's a scene where we're filming Richard, but Bat pokes her head in, and that's supposed to be an interruption. So we can't anticipate that. So wherever the camera is put has to also be able to cover her, but in a way that is like, oops, we just happened to be filming Richard and she came in. But I also wanted kind of a look that was very cinematic. When I think people hear mockumentary, they think of The Office or Parks and Recreation. But we were inspired a lot by the work of Lance Oppenheim, who's this director who's pioneering this kind of new genre or style of documentary films that are also feel very cinematic and very narrative, story driven. So yeah, Gus, I think, did a really great job with fusing the two, staying within the genre or the conventions of the genre, but also just creating something so beautiful. Yeah, and then music wise, and music was really hard to nail down because I think typically it's how much music is there. And how do you fill a space that is also supposed to be this fictional documentary, but also needing music to carry through the scene from the scene to the other scenes transition wise. And I think Alex is so incredibly talented. And we had the privilege of actually recording our score live with a 60 person orchestra in Budapest. So that was an incredible gift that Alex was able to make happen. And I'm just, yeah, super, super happy with the work that they did on this film.
Great. The animation in this film is beyond amazing in its ability to bring the fable to life. Tell us about the fifth atrium animation. How did that all come together with the documentary format?
Yeah. Well, I always knew I wanted to begin ending with an animation, with the retelling of this Chinese proverb that really inspired the film. There's a Chinese legend called "Carp jumps over the Dragon Gate." It's kind of this phrase used to refer to when someone kind of achieves the impossible. My dad is the first one to go to college. He was from the Chinese countryside, and when he was the first one to pass the college entrance exam, they hung a banner over his home that said, you're the carp that jumped over the Dragon Gate. And, in a way, it's also a myth that's very present in a lot of Eastern legends that explains how the carp randomly evolved into a goldfish, because that's still a fluke that scientists have no explanation for. One day, goldfish showed up and they just evolved from carps. So yeah, I really wanted to lean into kind of the mythology of it. And my really good friend Kathleen, Fifth Atrium is her company. They, yeah, did a really good job. It was a team, an international team of animators in Taiwan and in the US. And they really brought the legend to life in a way. The animation style is, it's very folky, but also has a little bit of kind of that children's animation styles, that naivete and that innocence that sets the tone for the rest of the movie.
So tell us, Kelly, what's next? I mean, the movie is probably in a lot of film festivals right now, or how can our readers and viewers find out more about the film, see the film, find out more about you?
Yeah, so yeah, we're about to embark on our festival run, just waiting back to hear back. But because we're Oscar qualified, right now we're doing a bunch of for-year consideration screenings in New York and in LA. And you can follow along on our Instagram. The Instagram for the film is at ENDLING Film. My Instagram is at It's Kelly You. And yeah, it'll be this unpredictable but fun journey that I hope people stick around for.
Yes, yes. Well, we will be spreading the word for that. And we are the Hollywood Times today is our website, aspiringmagazine.com, and our YouTube channel is the Hollywood Times. No, it's not. It's Hollywood Times Official is our YouTube channel. And I can't thank you enough, Kelly, for inspiring us and to watch more of Pao Pao and what that fish goes through, and keep us posted on any future endeavors that you are doing, and maybe you can enlighten us. Are you working on anything next?
I am, but I don't think I am allowed to talk about what
Oh
I'm doing
darn, I
next.
don't like it when people say that.
Me neither. I don't like when people say that too, but
Okay.
in this case, I will get in a lot of trouble. But yeah, I mean, I'm developing a lot of feature and TV
Yeah.
projects as writer director, and then yeah, some directing opportunities. Hopefully, we'll be able to share soon. Can't right now,
Good.
unfortunately.
Well, maybe we'll get to meet in person. I hope so. So keep up the great work, and
I
thank you
love
for
that.
your time today. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.